everyone, Eric here from Eric's Watches. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today I have a bit of a different video. It's not an unboxing, it's kind of a review. I want to share with you my experience of purchasing watches from a grey market dealer for the first time. And my experience is specifically with Jomashop.com, which is a grey market dealer over in the States on the East Coast. I think they're based out of Brooklyn, New York. Okay, here we go. I have hinted about wanting to make a video about my experience with Jomashop in my latest video, on my latest unboxing video, where I unboxed this watch, the Orient Mako Solar chronograph, as well as a Citizen Field watch. And I've got a lot to share, so stick with me, and yeah, by the end of it, I guess you'll know my thoughts on grey market dealership and maybe Jomashop in particular. But first I want to talk to you guys about what grey market actually is, for anyone who doesn't know. In the watch world, a grey market dealer is a dealer of watches that they have gotten through unofficial channels. They are, for the most part, authentic watches, but you can find them on grey market dealer websites and through grey market dealers for a much cheaper price than you would get if you went to the manufacturer or the brand direct, or if you went to an authorized dealer. I'll explain how it all works, and then you can see why the prices are lower, and also, you know, what the risks and, you know, what things to look out for if you're going to go to a grey market dealer. So basically how it works is you have your big brands. Let's take Casio for instance, right? Casio make G-Shocks and a whole bunch of other watches, you know, the F19 whatever, you know, that really famous one, whatever. But we're going to use Casio G-Shocks as an example. So Casio, they have an e-commerce store. You can buy directly from Casio themselves, I believe, but also they have lots of dealers, lots of authorized dealers. So they have their own authorized dealer network. You can go to like a G-Shock retailer, you can go to wherever, like you can go places, to websites or physical brick and mortar stores that are part of this Casio authorized dealer network, and buy G-Shocks, and you can be assured that these G-Shocks and these other Casio watches, whatever, are authentic. They come with full manufacturer warranty, and you know, it's the whole deal. Like it's totally legit. There's nothing to worry about. That's all good. The prices are often the same price as if Casio was selling direct to consumers, and these are the retail prices, which are the highest prices that the watches are probably going to be sold for. Because you've got to keep in mind that Casio, the manufacturer, if they're selling to authorized dealers, what they do is they you know, they go through suppliers and distributors, and they sell them off at a discount, and then the suppliers and distributors, they make money. Then the suppliers and distributors sell them off to retailers, and you know, everyone's got to make money. So if you are a consumer and you go to an authorized dealer, you are paying pretty much the highest price for that watch that you can pay anywhere. Okay, now here's the thing that lots of people don't understand about this authorized dealership network. For a store who is an authorized dealer of, say, Casio, they need to meet lots of rules. They need to kind of appease to Casio to keep their authorized dealer status, like this sort of badge of honor. It's basically the right to say to customers and consumers that they are authorized dealers of Casio, and therefore allaying the customers' fears and making the customers feel okay for buying a Casio watch off of a dealer that isn't Casio themselves, right? So it's like a badge, it's a title that can allay the customer's fears, And in order to keep this title, they need to do certain things and not do certain things. Most of the time, doing certain things involves buying more product from Casio, buying the newest stuff from Casio, right? Because the authorized dealers, they buy from Casio. And also things that they can't do oftentimes are that they cannot discount too much, because this will lower the reputation of Casio themselves, and it will undercut Casio and things like that. So basically, they are held on a very, very tight leash. And oftentimes they want to keep this authorized dealer badge of honor, if you will. And so they will actually go ahead and follow these rules and appease Casio and things like that. But if they are in a situation where they have surplus stock of an older model that Casio doesn't want to sell anymore, say it's a discontinued G-Shock, it's a really old one, but the authorized dealer still has them because they bought it, but no one will buy it, and they can't discount it to encourage new customers to buy it, and Casio is kind of whipping them and kind of like pulling on their leash, trying to get the dealer to buy the newer stock, because everyone needs to push the newer stock. Casio needs to sell the newer stock. The authorized dealers also need to sell the newer stock and things like that. So if an authorized dealer is in a situation where they have a surplus of older stock that they're not allowed to discount, but it's not selling. So they have this stock that they paid money for, but they're finding it really, really hard to sell it to customers because either no one wants it, no customers want it, or Casio are not letting them sell older stock, and Casio makes sure that are trying to say, you can't display older stock for sale. You always have to display newer stock, or some other reason. But whatever, they have a surplus of stock that they're finding it difficult to sell to customers. So what do? What they do is they sell off their surplus stock to gray market dealership networks, right? They recoup a bit of the money that they spent on buying this stock ages ago, whenever they bought the stock, right? So they get that little bit of money, and they can offload that surplus stock to the gray market dealers. And then what happens is the gray market dealers can then sell this stock to consumers and customers, but at a price that's discounted from the retail price. So remember, everyone in the chain needs to make money, including the gray market dealers, but the gray market dealers can sell this stock for lower than retail because they got it for much cheaper than retail. So they can afford to not only make money from selling this stock at a lower than retail price, but that's basically like their whole business. Like, they still make money, but the customer is encouraged and motivated to buy these watches because they're getting it for lower than retail price. That is how gray market dealerships work. Now, some things to look out for when you're buying from a gray market dealership. You have to remember, most of the time, if not 100% of the time, the watches you buy are authentic. They're actually real branded watches, right? They're not fakes most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, okay? They're not fakes, but it's just stock that is either really old, models that are discontinued, and authorized dealers and the actual brands don't want to push them anymore, or surplus stock that has been sitting in people's inventories, whether it be the authorized dealers' inventory or warehouses, or the gray market dealerships' inventory or warehouses, for an unspecified amount of time. They also do not come with manufacturer's warranties. Why? Because the manufacturers do not approve of this resale. It's not authorized. You have your authorized dealers that have that badge of honor and have to follow all those rules. And you have your gray market dealers that are getting the stock from under the table. So the authorized dealers are selling that surplus stock under the table to the gray market dealers, all completely under the table, unofficial, and not approved by the manufacturers. So the warranties do not apply in a case where you buy something from a gray market dealership. Third thing to look out for is you are not assured that the item is 100% new, pristine, unopened, unopened box, everything, right? Most of the times it has been handled by someone or something before. It may have been sitting on a shelf for years, maybe even up to decades, or maybe, I don't know. But the gray market dealerships, they can hold this stock and they won't have any penalty from it, and they don't mind holding this stock. Whereas the authorized dealers, they don't want to hold old stock because they're always being pushed to buy newer stock. So gray market dealerships, they tend to hold stock for a very long time until it sells. And once it's sold, it's gone, because like if the models are discontinued, the only people that hold them are gray market dealerships. Once customers buy from gray market dealers, there's no more of that stock. Manufacturers aren't making them anymore. That's it. So the stock could be very, very old and could have been handled a lot. It could have been worn. It could have been returned. It could have been on display. You never know. Those are the things to look out for when you're shopping from a gray market dealer. Now, I was going to make this entire video talking about my personal experience with JomaShop, but now I see that I've been talking for about 12 minutes, so I'm going to split that up into another video. Stay tuned for the next one. See you then.